guys, it's JD here, back again with another video. Today we're going to review Dragon Ball Daima Episode 6. This was, to me, one of the best episodes since Episode 1. All the episodes I've enjoyed, but this one had, I think, the best balance of pacing, lore, direction for some of these characters and their characterizations, power scaling and schemes, kind of like what they're doing with magic. We see a lot of that here. We're ultimately furthering the plot of really what the true purpose of the Demon Realm is and why we're kind of exploring here. So I'm really excited for what's to come. I think this is the start of a lot of really good episodes. So if people were kind of on the fence about this series, this episode is hopefully the turning point for I think a lot of people. Anyways, the episode starts off with the ship crashing. That's where we left off. It was all the unnecessary luggage that Pansy brought. But she reveals she can fix the ship, which again is just the fact that she is basically the Bulma of the Demon Realm. We do get a little Toriyama gag scene with Goku having to go to the bathroom. He has to go take a poo. So as he's going to the bathroom and running off, he jokes that he needs some paper, some toilet paper, and so Pansy throws at him. So these are very welcome scenes. We haven't had a lot of these really since like OG Dragon Ball. So it's very nice to see this in the series. But one of the big scenes that comes up in this episode is Shen and the Kaioshins, or I guess in this case the Glinds. And this, well, actually before that reveal, we do get a couple character statements that as far as Shen knows, Goku is the strongest Universe 7. Now you may take that as Shen just being not the most knowledgeable observer because he hasn't always provided the best information in Super, but this is important and this does make sense. A lot of people are kind of overreacting to this statement because of course they think this is Buu Saga, so Gohan potential Unleashed should be the strongest non-fused character fighter, but this is after the Buu Saga. I believe it's 4 months, maybe a year, give or take, but the point is that this is after the events of the Buu Saga. Goku and Vegeta would continue to train, and obviously Gohan is not the Gohan from the Tournament of Power or the superhero arc. This is Gohan who's slacking off in training. So it's very believable that Goku, especially with the Super Saiyan strength, could catch up to Ultimate Gohan or potential Unleashed Gohan. So it's totally believable. Herms does say on Twitter that based off the terminology, the verbiage that's used, they're making it, the connotation is felt as it being incredible. Like, to Shen's knowledge, he's the most incredible fighter, but obviously you can take it to be in terms of power scaling that Goku is now currently the strongest Universe 7. Makes perfect sense. I mean, even if you look at it that way, or you can look at it from the perspective of Goku being a versatile fighter. He's got a lot of these techniques that are based on spiritual cultivation, the Kaioken, ki control, and then of course what he just used to beat the strongest foe at the time, Majin Buu, the Genki Dama. So you get the idea. Now, since we know from the last episode that Pansy's really good with the tinkering, she's preparing to fix the ship. This is where the nuggets of lore for the Shenzhen or the Glen race comes into play. I was telling people to hold off on this being a retcon because I don't think it was. It's just maybe the name was a retcon, but most of the mythology we're learning about is very similar to some of Toriyama's statements from the Zenshus. So the Kaioshin lore, like I said, not fully retcon, but it looks like in this episode we get the tree, the Shenzhen or core tree. We get to see this finally visually. It is very different than some of the little pictures that Toriyama drew. We're not really seeing a fruit. The fruit is really just the Kaioshin from almost like an umbilical cord kind of thing going on. The trees appear to be very. Some people describe them as being like a onion. I think Eaton's the one that said that. It's definitely an odd type of tree, but the point is that this is in line with what Toriyama had said. So it's more of the the core Shenzhen tree idea, the fruit idea. Now shout out to Jordan the Dragon Lee, because he was the first to point out that in Journey to the West and some of the adaptations where they have the visuals for this, they do show in one of the comics that there is a tree, the Shenrin tree, which I believe what they're getting with that is, I think it's coming, like, in terms of real life, like where Journey to the West itself is borrowing that from. I think it's coming from the ginseng root or plant. So this was a popular herb or remedy that was in popular Chinese historical alchemy. So a lot of roots were being cultivated for their sources of vitality and ki. So this is, I think, where they're borrowing that. But yes, in both Journey to the West adaptation, as well as where this is, I think, being coming from the real world, the way that this fruit or this root or plant, if you look at the structure, it's very humanoid looking, like if you pull it out of the ground. So that's where the idea of Shen's people or the Kaioshin's coming from. It's just a an Eastern creation myth, but it's still interesting nonetheless. So again, shout out to Jordan. When we get that, we also get explanations that that if they're born from the same tree, they're siblings, but if they're born from different trees, then they're just, distant cousins, or they're still related by virtue of being the same species, just like with the angels, but they kind of make it seem that if you're not from the same tree, you're not like completely one-to-one related, which makes perfect sense. But we do get to see essentially more of the Kaioshin mythology, which is very interesting. There's still some unexplained questions about this, because they, in the original Toriyama lore, they do say that the Kaioshin and the Makai come from corrupted fruit, but obviously Shen and Degasu and the sister Dr. Rensu, they're all coming from the same tree. So how that corruption comes into play is not yet seen, but more on that to come in the episode. But I think we're going to see a lot more once we get to the second realm after the Tamagama 3 fight, which is upcoming. I think we're going to see a lot of stuff with the Kaioshin, the Namekians, and the Saiyans. We also get some more information that the Kaioshin, of course, are genderless, which really isn't surprising. And a lot of interpretations of God or godlike beings, they're usually above the concepts of gender or sexuality, so it makes perfect sense. It's in line with what I would have expected. And the same thing with the angels. The angels are probably genderless too, and the Namekians, they're asexual. So again, these are all kind of similar themes here. We do get further characterization that the reasons that Degasu and Dr. Arinsu stayed behind was, it looks like, for ulterior or selfish reasons. So Degasu's a very ambitious Glenn, and so he didn't get along with the other groups. And then Dr. Arinsu, she's kind of playing the mad genius archetype. I guess she felt that the demon realm was the best place because it's best insulated from a world where there would be much regulation from the higher ups and the other gods. So being in the demon realm, where it's very hard access and it's got plenty of specimens, it just suited her character and characterization. Now, again, like I said, I don't know where the characterization for the Kaioshin or the Makaio is going to come into play, because we do know that they are corrupted fruit. But hopefully, when we get to the second demon realm and maybe even get a confrontation between Shen and his siblings, maybe more of that will be shed and given light. So as they're having this conversation in the ship, we get a lot of close-ups of Glorio, and we see that there's something that's going on that he's aware of that the other group is not, and this will culminate later in the episode in the next few scenes. We do get a scene where prior to leaving, when Goku's going to the bathroom to take a crap, the Gendarmerie show up because they spot Glorio and his ship and the company. They land and basically kind of integrate the group. They're inquiring why there's different demons from different realms traveling together, which is strange. Shin responds that they're just traveling, just trying to go on a sense of adventure. And it doesn't really take much to kind of ward off the Gendarmerie. They don't really suspect anything. They do check Pansy's little collar, which again, all the third demon realm demons or Majins have. So I wonder if we're going to learn more about what that collar entails. But it's definitely a tracking device, that's for sure. they basically just say, like, they're looking for Goku because he's a wanted fugitive, and that to report it to the Gendarmerie as it's worth 10 gold coins. So very Star Wars inspired scene. I know Geekdom and Jordan and others have commented on the Star Wars motifs, but this is something out of, like, A New Hope with the stormtroopers, and the only difference is that no mind tricks are needed. So we do transition further into the episode. They're getting further and further into Tamagama 3's location. They arrive at a cave site to unpack and rest. Goku eats some kind of canned food. It looks like some kind of demon centipede. Shen, of course, doesn't like bugs and things like that, so he's kind of grossed out. Pansy does ask Glorio who hired him, which he doesn't reveal, but it's from the first demon realm. Shen then kind of asks Glorio a pointed question about his reasonings for overthrowing Goma. Glorio says it's because Goma is bad for the Majins, which we can already kind of see with the life force punishments. But it also reveals that Glorio is kind of like this type of character who's got his own sense of justice, personal vendetta. He's a vigilante kind of guy, it looks like. It's not the same pure sense as like Kaioshin or other creation gods who kind of wait for mortals to just be better to overcome certain problems and things. So we can see that Glorio, based off the fact that he's kind of like a gun for hire, it looks like he's willing to do anything to accomplish his objectives. So based off his ideals, we're gonna see whether, I guess, Goku has an influence on him to wear down that idea or change it for the better, or if he's going to fall into maybe a state of corruption or ego, as we've seen with other villains on the above mortal universe. Now, as they get ready to sleep, Glorio does walk out of the cave, and this is where the music changes, the tone changes, and we finally get the reveal that the person who hired him is one of the characters we suspected, Dr. Arinsu. A lot of people predicted this. I don't think it was surprising. Many people thought he was in some kind of cahoots with Degasu, Arinsu, or some other yet to be revealed villain or faction. So, and that could still be a possibility, but this whole goes back to the trailer synopsis about there being a conspiracy, of which Geekdom's already reported on, but this does kind of push us towards there being more surprises, I think, especially with whatever the final villain's going to be. And this explains why Glorio was open to hunting for the Demon Realm Dragon Balls, because that's probably needed for whatever crazy plan that Dr. Arinsu has in store. With that kind of wish power, we're going to see just where that kind of leads us. Now, Glorio does return to the cave, and it does appear that Shin was awake the whole time. Whether he heard the conversation or not is unclear, but the point of the scene is that Shin is becoming more and more aware of Glorio's possible allegiances and maybe even a betrayal. In the cave, everyone's awoken to some kind of giant demon monster. This appears to be a bull or some kind of minotaur, but with the design, you can quickly tell that it's a gag character. The Minotaur is belittled by Goku, who thinks he's some kind of cow. This is just classic Goku. The Minotaur kind of touts, saying that he's very strong, he's gonna eat them and kill them. But he's basically ignored. I mean, the whole episode he's basically ignored. Glorio and Goku are basically just kind of trying to one-up each other, trying to see who's gonna fight him. Goku basically channels some Kakarot in this episode and says that he's way stronger than Glorio. Okay, at least he implies it, just like the Vegeta scene from the Cell arc after the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. But basically the stage is set. They're going to have a sparring match, and we see Goku finally fight Glorio. This was shown in the previews from the last episode, but this is a great choreographed fight. Way better than the last fight we saw. A lot of fluidity, a lot of great kind of hand-to-hand combat. And this kind of hypes me up for the Tamagama's fight, fusions if we see that, and probably whatever new form or technique that Goku's going to utilize, or Vegeta. We're going to see that, and based off the animation, it's a good sign that it'll be worth it, in my opinion. Goku, when he's fighting Glorio initially, he's just using one arm, which is pretty funny on Goku's part. Shen does tell Goku to fight more seriously, though, because it seems like Shen's just he's trying to see like the extent of Glorio's power. But of course, this pleases Goku because that's tapping into his martial arts sense of wanting to fight people at their best. So he does use his Naobo. He doesn't fight with, he fights with both hands now, and he's quickly just overpowering Glorio. Now Glorio does use magic. We get to see his magic since he is a Majin. Now they appear to be lightning based, or at the very least elemental. This is more like in the same vein as like maybe Moro when he taps into a planet's natural energy. It's very similar to that, I think. Now, this is really good sign because I did say in previous reviews that I want to see them kind of further push the magic connotation and kind of make it seem different from Ki, because that's always been the problem, is like you can always justify magic as just being a derivative of Ki, like like a technique, and I want to see them kind of break that boundary. And honestly, what they're doing in this episode, I mean, it warrants a whole video to kind of break down how magic is being viewed in Daima and possibly in the future when Super returns. But basically, I mean, based off Glorio and his power scheme, they are definitely treating it as a different utilization of Ki. And going back to kind of what Ki really is in the traditional sense, it's all about kind of vitality, preserving life, manipulating life force. The Chinese Taoists from antiquity, with that, if you look at the historical roots of that, it's always been about longevity and keeping yourself, it's a quest for immortality. But the other side of the coin, I guess, would be the weaponization of Ki, which is unnatural, right? You're not supposed to use Ki like basically, I guess, just like in Star Wars, and some people have brought up the idea that this is kind of like the dark side. It's similar, I would say, because it is an amalgamation of like human ego, this like taking something that's divine or completely natural and in balance, and you're tipping the scale in your favor, in your worldview of what you think is right, whether it's as a martial artist or as a warrior, demon, whatever. So it does fit in line with that. But honestly, I'm still kind of thinking about it. Like, definitely this is something that warrants a video. But yeah, it's definitely a darker interpretation of Ki. And I want to see the extent of that. Like how much they kind of make this its own scaling. But I'm very excited. I definitely like seeing some of the attacks that Glorio showed us. So he had like an energy whip, or lightning whip. He had the lightning from his fingertips, just like Emperor Palpatine, and then of course he had some kind of lightning bomb or lightning pulse attack. So very, very interesting, but I do want to see the direction of this going forward. Now Goku later in the episode is pushed to use Super Saiyan, which he didn't think was going to work, which kind of means that it is putting a strain on his body since it is that of a first grader. Now this is where we get the scene from the second trailer. Basically Glorio does his final blast attack, and Goku basically just blocks it with his, like, the tips of his fingers, just like in the trailer. No effort at all. Goku teleports behind Glorio, and that's when the fight ends. Glorio acknowledges defeat. The Minotaur, which is basically, I think Geekdom said this is the Mr. Satan of the Demon Realm, doesn't want to fight. He's just making excuses to escape. So the episode ends with them kind of pushing closer to the Tamagama 3 location, which according to the next preview is reached. So we do see the tree where the 3-star Demon Realm Dragon Ball is at, and the Tamagama with the hammer. So it looks like they get there. Whether they start the fight or not, I don't know. But the pacing is picking up, and that's the point. Now Bulma's group does fix the Kaioshin ship. They do get ready to leave, but then the ship, I guess the repairs were insufficient, so it breaks down and they're still trapped at Kami's lookout. But we do know from the last episode that Hibiscus knows their location and is on the way, so that's probably how Vegeta, Piccolo, and Kibito Kai are gonna leave. And then I think Bulma will eventually repair the ship and she'll leave, because we do see her in the opening and ending crawls. So they all will join up. It's just, I think the first Tamagama fight would just be Goku versus Tamagama 3, and either they arrive afterwards, or if Goku loses, maybe they have a second battle or rematch where everyone's all together. But I think it's going to be a Goku versus Tamagama 3 fight. I'm going to put my money there. Overall, though, I do enjoy this episode. I think this was the best episode yet. Everything about it I just enjoyed. And I'm really excited to see the Tamagamas. I still think, like I said, it's going to be Goku, but we'll see whether Vegeta's group arrives on time. And it does also appear that we're going to explore the red collar that was around Pansy, which has been teased, and we've seen it on all the Demon Realm 3 inhabitants. So I wonder if there's a more sinister backstory to that. Probably is, but I think we're going to see a lot of that next episode. But overall, cannot wait. I'm really excited for episode 7, and I'm excited for another video for the week. So I'll see you guys later. This is JD signing out.